In this episode, we focus on a practical skill that separates reactive organizations from disciplined ones, which is the ability to clearly map security controls to specific requirements so that audits are grounded in evidence instead of explanations. Many teams approach audits as storytelling exercises, where they describe what they believe they are doing and hope that the narrative satisfies the reviewer. That approach is fragile because it depends heavily on memory, interpretation, and goodwill. Mapping controls to requirements creates a structured connection between what a regulation or policy demands and the actual safeguards in place. When this mapping is documented and supported by tangible proof, audits become far less stressful and far more predictable. Understanding this process transforms audits from disruptive events into routine validations of well-managed systems. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyber.author.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A requirement is a defined expectation that comes from a regulation, contractual obligation, internal policy, or recognized standard. It might state that sensitive data must be encrypted at rest, that access must be reviewed periodically, or that logs must be retained for a specific period. A control is the technical or procedural measure that satisfies that requirement, such as enabling encryption on storage systems or performing quarterly access reviews. The mapping process links each requirement directly to one or more controls that address it. This linkage prevents gaps where requirements exist without corresponding safeguards. For beginners, the key idea is that requirements and controls are not separate checklists. They are paired elements that must align. Without clear mapping, organizations often rely on broad statements like "we protect our data with strong security measures." During an audit, such statements are insufficient because auditors look for verifiable alignment. If a requirement mandates encryption, the organization must show where encryption is configured and how it is enforced. Narrative-driven audits rely on verbal assurance, while evidence-driven audits rely on documented configuration states, logs, and review records. Mapping ensures that for every requirement, there is a defined control and associated proof. This structure reduces ambiguity and improves consistency across audit cycles. Creating a control mapping process begins with cataloging applicable requirements. These may originate from laws, industry frameworks, or internal governance policies. Once identified, each requirement should be broken down into clear, actionable statements. For example, a requirement to protect customer data can be divided into encryption, access control, and monitoring expectations. Breaking requirements into manageable pieces allows more precise mapping. Beginners should understand that vague requirements are difficult to audit, while specific ones are easier to validate. After clarifying requirements, the next step is identifying existing controls that address them. Controls can be technical configurations, automated policies, or documented procedures. For example, encryption at rest might be implemented through storage settings, while access review requirements might be fulfilled through scheduled identity audits. It is important to verify that controls actually function as intended, rather than assuming they do. Mapping is not merely labeling. It is confirming that the control genuinely satisfies the requirement. This validation strengthens both compliance posture and operational security. Evidence is the cornerstone of an evidence-driven audit. Evidence might include configuration screenshots, policy documents, automated reports, or system logs showing consistent enforcement. The goal is to demonstrate not only that a control exists, but that it operates reliably over time. For instance, access review evidence might consist of documented review outcomes and timestamps showing regular completion. Encryption evidence might include system settings confirming that encryption is enabled by default. Consistent evidence collection turns audit preparation into routine documentation rather than last-minute scrambling. Automation can significantly enhance the reliability of control mapping. Automated compliance checks and configuration monitoring reduce the chance of human oversight. When systems continuously verify that required settings remain in place, deviations can be detected early. Automation also produces consistent records that serve as audit evidence. Beginners should see automation not as a replacement for oversight, but as a reinforcement of accuracy and repeatability. Consistent automated checks strengthen confidence in mapped controls. A common challenge arises when one control supports multiple requirements or when one requirement is addressed by multiple controls. Clear documentation helps prevent confusion in these scenarios. Each mapping entry should specify exactly how the control fulfills the requirement and what evidence supports that claim. Overlapping controls can provide defense in depth, but they must be clearly described to avoid redundancy or misunderstanding. Structured mapping clarifies relationships and ensures that no requirement is overlooked. Transparency in mapping strengthens audit readiness. Periodic review of control mappings is essential because requirements and systems evolve. Regulations may change, new services may be introduced, and organizational processes may shift. Without updates, mappings can become outdated and misaligned. Regular reassessment ensures that controls remain relevant and that evidence remains current. This ongoing maintenance transforms compliance into a continuous discipline rather than an annual event. Beginners should understand that mapping is dynamic, not static. Control mapping also improves internal understanding beyond audit preparation. Teams gain clearer visibility into how their technical configurations support business obligations. This clarity supports better prioritization and faster remediation when gaps are discovered. If a requirement lacks a mapped control, it becomes immediately visible and actionable. Mapping therefore strengthens governance by making alignment transparent. It encourages accountability across technical and compliance functions. Communication benefits from structured mapping as well. When leadership asks how a particular requirement is being addressed, security teams can provide concise, evidence-backed answers. Instead of relying on memory or lengthy explanations, they can reference documented mappings and associated proof. This precision builds trust and reduces friction during reviews. Evidence-driven communication fosters confidence among stakeholders and auditors alike. Clarity reduces defensiveness and enhances collaboration. Another advantage of mapping is reducing audit fatigue. When controls and evidence are continuously organized, audit preparation becomes an incremental process rather than a crisis. Teams avoid frantic searches for documentation because artifacts are already aligned with requirements. This predictability lowers stress and improves morale. Over time, evidence-driven audits become routine checkpoints rather than disruptive emergencies. The organization benefits from stability and preparedness. Ultimately, mapping controls to requirements creates a disciplined link between intention and implementation. Requirements articulate expectations, controls implement protections, and evidence demonstrates effectiveness. When these elements are clearly aligned, audits become validations rather than interrogations. By adopting an evidence-driven mindset, organizations strengthen both compliance and security simultaneously. This structured approach ensures that cloud environments are not only protected, but also demonstrably aligned with the obligations and standards that govern them.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.